Although the 4 central operatives were identified, the actual number of individuals involved is thought to have been much larger, possibly incalculable. It was around the time of these defections that Wendy Barnshaw went missing.
We think, and this is really highly speculative of course, that her disappearance just possibly was in some way linked to that group. One of my father's cousins had been at Cambridge with those men, and it seems he'd tried to recruit first my father, who refused on the grounds of his national pride. He wouldn't hear anything of it. Well, I mean, he was very loyal to the RAF and to his country. But after he died, his cousin then targeted my mother, whom he must have known was of a highly left-wing mindset. Well, I suppose that's the most diplomatic way we can put it. I suppose she must have been an easy target, really. She was widowed, vulnerable, with a young child. I mean, she definitely blamed the government for her husband's death. And then, I suppose, being invited to join a group of similarly disenfranchised people, well, that must have been very reassuring and comforting, I suppose. I often think that they must have seen her as some sort of ready soldier, not just a sympathiser. I mean, given her level of anger, her frustration and her high intelligence. When my father had died, she did say that she'd hated him joining the RAF, and it wasn't just for personal reasons, it was their political convictions too. I mean, she always wanted him to do something that wouldn't take him away from home, that would keep him, well, near us, you know. Even joining the Home Guard would have been preferable. Well, just. I knew that she had these meetings. I must have been about 8 onwards, I suppose, and it would always be at night, and I'd be upstairs and she'd think I was asleep, and I'd hear all these people coming into the flat and talking in very hushed tones, and then I'd hear these voices going on well into the night. Well, sometimes I would try to listen to what was going on and try and understand, but I couldn't really understand. That was the problem. I did think I recognised 1 or 2 of the voices, but I wasn't really sure. All I knew was that the next day Mum looked really tired, so I assumed that these meetings must have gone on well into the night. I mean, there was no question about me asking her what had happened, because I knew she'd never tell me. I mean, she never said, for instance, "Oh, Mummy's got some friends coming over this evening." And I just never thought to ask her. Well, I knew if I did that I'd probably get a telling off.
It was a few days following one of these meetings that Wendy's disappearance occurred.
Well, I suppose, in my head, at least, the 2 things have always been connected, and, well, all the evidence, limited though it is, seems to point to that.
Much of London was damaged during the Blitz, the sustained bombing by the Luftwaffe on the country in 1940-41. Although not a victim of the strike itself, by 1951 St Pancras Church, suffering from the effects of nearby bomb blasts and shrapnel, was in dire need of repair. With its roof on the verge of collapse, the church was closed on May 14th that year.
Well, the church was also used as a local air raid shelter during the war. And I knew about the closure because my mum had taken me to a service there. It was one Sunday and it was closed, so I was aware that things had slightly changed. And what used to happen was a group of regular churchgoers on a Saturday, they go into the office there and they take out everything that was needed for a service, and then they carry it all the way across the Euston Road, all the way directly to this World War I hut that was used as a nursery. And that would be on the Saturday, and then Sunday evening service, and we're all over, they'd carry everything all the way back again. Well, it was quite a jaunt.
Knowing that the church and, crucially, its crypt were almost entirely out of use, Nettie realised that this could become a refuge.
It looked as though they'd been through everything. Pots and pans strewn all over the floor, drawers pulled off, cupboards wide open. Everything was in chaos. I was scared out of my wits. Well, I don't think I even locked the door. I just started walking. I was walking west towards St Pancras. Well, it was early evening. It was still light, And when I saw the church, I just thought, well, maybe I could hide out there for a while. For some reason, I remembered from the days when it was our local air raid shelter that there were 2 heating pipes either side of the stairs which ran down to the crypt door. They were both fairly large, and I could distinctly remember trying to climb up and peer down one of them, as we were supposed to be going into the shelter when the raid sirens had gone off one time. Well, my mother promptly swept me up and ran down the stairs, of course. So I thought, maybe I could climb in there, but, well, it was still light and I was worried I might be spotted, so just carried on walking up and down Eversholt Street until it got dark. And then eventually, when it did get dark, I came back and I thought, well, I'd just climb through the fence. There was a hole in the fence. It was only chicken wire, actually, and approached the church, which was set back much further than it is now. Further back from the street, I mean.
Yeah, it's just round here. Yeah, here it is. Well, it used to be a big pipe as a vent, you know, quite high for a child, as you can imagine, and not that wide. Good job I'm small, isn't it?
St Pancras Church used an air heating system which heated the main building of the church from beneath, and it was using these heated vents that Nettie managed to make her covert entry into the crypt.
So I climbed up, well, I was using the wall as a kind of leg up, and managed to just sit on top of the vent pipe and pull the front off, and surprisingly it came off really easily.
Yeah, then I had to jump down here with my things, which were just in a large hold, or, well, bits of old blankets and some clothing, and then I had to get my things and pull them up and jump in and just sort of shove them down the vent.
Well, then I just slid down and landed on my things. So I came down here. Well, this was all bricked in then, of course. It was warden's offices. And I jumped down the vent, and much to my relief and good fortune, some of the bricks were loose. So I just started pulling the bricks and pulling them away and trying to make a hole just big enough to wriggle through, and then, well, that was that. I was in. You can have a look, actually. Come and have a look up here.